We all have five senses. This is how humans take in data. So it's what you see, be an artist, and if you want to do this with me, it does help to learn it. So you see what's out there, be an artist. It's what you hear, it's what you hear. So it's first see, then hear, then it's what you touch, what you smell, and then what you taste. So that's the order of things, right? So as people with dementia progress during the team, it's the most powerful sensory input, visual. So that's the first thing, they're going to see you. People with dementia pay more attention to what they see than what they hear. What do we often do wrong? We like to talk, don't we? I know I like to talk. So we like to tell people what we're going to do today. We have an agenda, right? So, and that's okay to have an agenda, but maybe we need to put that agenda on the back burner and think about connecting with the person. You know, of course we have to have an agenda. We have to have tasks that we're going to be doing during the day, but I think often, and maybe I'm just speaking for myself, but often when I've been in situations with people and I have something that we really need to do, like let's say we need to go to the doctor, something like that. It's pretty high pressure, right? You need to be on time, you need to go to the doctor. That's a big task in my mind, and that task might start distracting me from actually connecting with the person. So the most important thing is that we connect with the person, and that's what today is going to be all about, all these different methods of how to connect with people, right? And what happens a lot of times when things maybe don't go well is because we're telling them, we're talking a lot, and they're not picking up everything we say. Maybe we're not in their visual field, you know? Maybe they can't understand every word we're saying, because that happens as you get to middle, later stages with dementia. So we think that we're telling them everything, but actually they're not responding to it because we haven't connected, you know, and maybe they can't see us, and maybe they can't hear us very well. Touching until we've done visual. So first is visual, then verbal. Don't do to someone, do with someone. Dementia robs skill before robbing strength. So if you put up these first three fingers here, these are our strength fingers. These are things that we can do tasks with, right? We can grab onto things, we can pick things up, even without the light things, even without these fingers. So that these two fingers right here, kind of hard to put up by themselves. These are the strength fingers. So what do people lose first with dementia? They lose their skill. So some of the methods that we'll learn today, the hand over hand techniques, that's what helps us to help people with skill. We can help them even brush their teeth. That's a later stage thing, we might not go into that, but that's just an example, you know. And I know that sounds kind of difficult, but actually once you know how to do it, it isn't. And then so what are they going to keep? They're going to keep their strength. This bottom part of the palm is strength, that's what they're going to keep. So dementia, what is it? It is both a chemical change in the brain and a structural change in the brain. This means it may come and go, as I'm sure most of you know. Sometimes they can and sometimes they can't. So we have to go with the flow, don't we? Go with the flow with people and really meet them where they're at. And that could mean that we meet them where they're at a different place an hour later than they were an hour before, even minutes before. So we have to be very flexible. Helps to be flexible. Dementia, what changes? Structural changes are permanent. Cells are shrinking and dying. Chemical changes are variable. So there's 89 different kinds of dementias that are under the umbrella of what we call dementia. Confrontational stance. Okay, now everybody stand up. Everybody stand up. So we're going to do all those things that she just did, and then we're going to partner up. So put our hands out. Our hands out. Can anybody see their hands at 180?
Yes.
Good. Not only 20-year-olds. And I don't mean to say there's no 20-year-olds in the room. Maybe there is, but probably not very many. I can't really. So, and also, I think Tifa mentioned. So this is like safety vision. You know, we might not be able to actually see what's on the periphery, but if like we're driving in the car, you know, if there's somebody coming, we can react, right? So it's a safety type of thing. So bring it in. So this is the 20-year-old, right? 25-year-old. And then we bring it in until you can see. That's about where I am right there. Yeah. And so sample your vision here. See what it's like. Yeah, that's you. And then we bring it in, what you say, 45 degrees, about 45 degrees. So that's 75. That's normal aging. It's normal aging. That's why we start tripping on the sidewalk. Which I'm wearing these shoes today. I'm already worried about tripping. New shoes. So and then she said 20 degrees, right? 20 degrees. So this is a person living with dementia. And then this is a person that's beginning to live with dementia, may not even know that they're living with dementia. That seems pretty limited, doesn't it? And then it progresses from there. So let's partner up. Let's partner up. Would you like to be my partner? Why don't So we're going to get our scuba vision, right? So partner up. One person has dementia, the other person the caregiver, okay? So we put on our scuba vision. So one person with dementia sit in the chair, okay? Sit in the chair. Your scuba vision on. Yeah. And then come up to the person, just like Tifa did. Come up to the person, that confrontational stance, right? How did it feel? I want some people to tell me how it felt when the scuba mask was on. How did that feel? How did that feel?
Space invaded.
Yeah, so your personal space was invaded.
Kind of like on those movies where you start doing the roller coaster, all of a sudden it was like moving in my face and it was like
Yeah.
up a little. Yeah.
So she was saying it's kind of like being on a roller coaster, like in a movie. So it's disorienting. It's a bit disorienting. Anybody else?
It's a bit scary.
Yeah, it is scary, isn't it? It's like they sort of come out of nowhere, right? And like, ah! Yeah, it's terrifying.
What is the scuba vision?
So that's early. That's early stage. And like she was saying, 3 out of 10 people.
I thought you said it was right here somewhere.
Yeah, it is, but I think it is right here. But that's to demonstrate what that is like. So, and I have to say that after I had done the training, just a little note about this specific vision thing about my own experience. I was working with a person that was in mid to later stage, and that's when you get to the binocular. We're not going to go into that too much today, but that really informed me a lot about my client, like her visual changes. It really helped me a lot. So what were you going to say? So how did it feel? We talked about how it felt. And so what might a person experiencing early stage dementia that has scuba-like vision, what might be the reaction to you when you come up on them like that?
Startled.
Yeah. What did you say?
Always get startled. And
Yeah.
My client is startled if I approach
Yeah.
from anywhere except.
Right. Except there. Yeah. Right.
We have it.
Did you have
Yeah, I
some?
haven't had experience with them being startled. Some of my clients are from a generation that are more reserved,
Uh-huh.
so their response is more nonverbal and just sort of look at you weird, or they don't respond, or they still have that mechanism to sort of be polite,
Right.
and then the moment passes.
Yeah. So, but you can tell through their body language or something nonverbal that you're not connecting with them. Yeah. So that type of thing. And that's really good. I mean, it's really good to pick up on those cues, isn't it? To be like, oh, I need to change. I need to do something different. So, so is this what you were trying to do? Is this what you're trying to do, caregiving? No, we're never trying to do that. So we need to change, don't we? we needed. How did it feel different with the supportive stance? How did that feel? Like you could, what did you say, like you could get away?
Get away.
Yeah.
You could get away, so you had some freedom,
Yeah.
right? You had freedom to move, you
You're
know?
not blocked in.
Yeah, you weren't blocked in. So how would that, if you're a person living with dementia, how would that make you feel to have that supportive stance?
Safer.
Safer. Safer. So maybe we want to try to do the supportive stance instead of confrontational, right? And this is a skill to work on, so we can work on it with our family. I mean, my husband, I've been working on it with him, you know, practically, so I can train, but also I feel like, so we practice, right? Because we need to practice, because I feel like these methods, and everybody's different, but for myself, I feel like I needed to go to a lot of trainings, I need to practice, like, so that I'm actually, when I get there to the client, then I feel comfortable. Then I feel comfortable doing that, right? So, you take your finger and write with me. Dementia equals Alzheimer's equals memory problems, right? So I want to erase that. I want you all to erase that because it does not equal memory problems. So dementia is brain failure. And I feel like the more we think about it that way, the more we think, you know, it's the more complex it becomes, and also the reality of it is shown, right? The person's brain is dying, it's brain failure. So there are lots of conditions under this umbrella. It's a big umbrella of dementia. There's all these different conditions, like someone had just mentioned that they take care of someone with vascular dementia. Alzheimer's disease is the most well-known one probably. Young onset and late life onset. Lewy body dementia, frontal temporal lobe dementias, and then there's a lot of other dementias. More truths about dementia. At least 2 parts of the brain are dying. It is chronic and can't be fixed. It is progressive and will get worse, and it is terminal. Frontal temporal lobe dementia. So I want everybody to put their hand on their forehead, right? This is the frontal lobe right here. Frontal lobe right here. So this is what allows you to maybe not tell that person that you don't like their blouse. It's really ugly. I don't like that. You know, it's what stops us, right? It's kind of, and so when we have one of these types of dementias, that's what you lose. The swear words start coming out, the inappropriate, socially inappropriate things, like I just said, like most people wouldn't say, oh, I hate that shirt. You know, most people wouldn't say that to you. You know, but especially a really nice woman that is very polite would never say that, right? So what does the frontal lobe allow you to do as well? Put your hand on your forehead. It allows you, and then turn your hand, allows you to see other person's point of view. So you lose that. You can't see the other person's point of view. So we need to make sure that we can try to see their point of view. So there's many different types of this type of dementia. It also, look at that compared. This is the normal brain, it's the Alzheimer's brain. That's a really big change. So how I like to understand this slide is that Tipa does this. So on this side of our head, right here, put your hand up to your head. That's your language. And then on the left side of your head, that's your rhythm. So language on the left, rhythm on the right. Language on the left, rhythm on the right. So the nice thing about this, the thing that people with dementia can do is that they lose the language, or language on the left, they lose the language on the left, but they keep the rhythm. Also what lives here in this part of the brain is music. Music. So, for me, that would be very comforting, music. And it is something like, I don't know if you all have seen some of the videos with Tifa where she actually communicates with people that are nonverbal by singing a spiritual song that they know from their childhood. So that's one way we can connect with people, right? I think it's very powerful. It doesn't matter if you're not a singer. You don't have to be a singer. But if you have a good connection with your client as an individual, and you perhaps know, like I was just talking to somebody today, like it'd be hard to find someone that doesn't like music. One of my grandmothers really didn't like music, but for the most part, I think most people like music. So you can connect with them that way. And you know, I'm feeling kind of nervous right now, so I kind of like to connect with music with you guys. So I'm going to sing a song and feel free to sing along. So think about if you were feeling down, and then just, we're going to talk about how the song made you feel. So, hey, good looking. Go ahead, sing along. What you got cooking? How about cooking something up with me? Hey, sweet baby, don't you think maybe we might find ourselves a brand new recipe? Yeah. Anyway, I was going to do more verses, but we don't need to. But how did that make you feel? Because most of us in the room, right? Yeah.
What do you do when the guy sings dirty songs?
Oh boy. Well, what, really? So you've had this experience?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Does it make him happy?
Oh yeah, he's always happy.
Well, I don't know if it's a bad thing. If it leads to other things, that would be my concern. But
No.
But I think if it makes him happy, then great. That's great. That's great.
His wife's there, and she says she loves it.
Yeah. So that's a way to connect. All right. So the other thing is, and this is related to what we were just talking about too, so is hearing of sound does not change that much. So it might have changed a little bit, but not very much, not like the other one, right? Let's go back to the other one. See how much it changed? Look at that. Look at that change. Normal brain, Alzheimer's brain. And then here where the hearing is, the sound, not very much change. So still hearing pretty well. Again, that's where the music comes in. Okay, understanding. So we start to lose the language on the left. Loss, can't interpret words, misses some words, gets off target. Preserved abilities, so we can understand facial expressions. So how many times have you talked to your client and you're talking, because we love to talk, and they're nodding, maybe they're just following along with your facial expression, or they're being polite, like someone said, you know, they're just being polite. Oh, I understand, but actually they don't understand very much at all. We're going to break up into, I think I should break up in groups of 3 for this, because it's kind of nice to have somebody be an observer. So there'll be the person living with dementia, one person will be that person, one person will be the caregiver, and then one person will be the observer, so giving tips based on these. So the first thing we're going to do, so pause at the edge of public space. So what is public space? So public space is anything, again, this field of vision, to anything outside of that, outside of your arm's length is public space. So usually for most people, and it depends on culture sometimes, but it's about just beyond 6 feet. So gesture, and greet by name. So first, we want to pause at the edge of physical public space, and of course sometimes we have to modify this, right? I keep on thinking about if we have to knock on somebody's door, because that's often what we're doing, right, is knocking on somebody's door. So we can modify it sometimes, but pause at the edge of public space and have that opportunity. So which is about a little more than 6 feet out. Make sure that they see you. Make sure that they see you. And then you can say, once you visually have their attention, you can say, hi. And if you know their name, say their name, their preferred name. That's a really important point too, to say the preferred name. I had a client who had a social worker that only came a couple times, but she found out what my client's kind of pet name was from a family member, I think, and she used that with my client, and my client did not like that. And she had pretty, middle stage Alzheimer's at that point, and that social worker was never going to connect with my client. It was really interesting to see how immediately when she'd call her by that name, she would just shut down. Like there was going to be nothing. So that's really important to know. If you know the name, use the preferred name. So they see you, You say hello if they see, you make eye contact, you say hello. You gesture and greet by name, offer your hand. So first we gesture, so it's just a hand out here, like this, just a hand. And actually I should move my name tag. So this would be where to put your name tag, where your hand is. So then, when you get in closer, oh, that's the only thing I forgot was my name tag. Your name tag, it's good to keep it up high. Maybe put your hair back so your hair doesn't get in it. But so that your name tag's right there, so they can, when you get closer, then you know, and the print's big enough, they can actually read it. You know, they can actually read it. So greet by name, you gesture, and then you offer your hand. And usually if you've made that contact, then they're going to offer their hand. Then you can move in. Here, would you like to just move up a little, move your chair a little bit up, and we'll do this? Okay, so. Hi, how are you? How's it going? So we're going to come, we're going to approach. So he reached out his hand, didn't he? That was a gesture to indicate it's okay. So it's okay to come into my personal space. So this is the personal space right here, his personal space. And then I've got his hand, and I'm going to go ahead and put my hand under hand like a butterfly, with the hand under hand here, like that. I'm going to move to supported stance, right? So we don't want to be confrontational, right? We want to move to supported stance. I've got his hand, and then I can get down low. Hey, how you doing? Doug, that's right, Doug. Good to see you, Doug. Like that. So that's what we're going to do. So, everybody get together in your groups of 3. One person playing the person living with dementia, a caregiver, and one observer.
Right, I'll be the, oh, you're gonna be dementia.
Oh, here, I can join you. I'll join you. You need me, the observer. Yeah, why don't you reach your hand out so we can get an indication. No, you don't need to stand up. Just go ahead and reach your hand out so we can get an idea. So that's about right. So you make sure. No, just go ahead and you're good. See, she's already to the side. So you're already doing some volunteer. You're already to the side. That's good. As long as she can see you visually. That's really good. Okay, so first she gestures with her hand. Hi. Sorry. And then you reach your hand out. Yep. You approach, right? Just stand there too. That if you can, and you know, maybe you can grab a chair because you connected, right? You connected really well. So what happened? How did it make people feel? I guess that's one of my questions is, like, people living with dementia, how did that make you feel to be approached that way? What were some feelings you had about being approached that way? What?
It takes away the scary.
It takes away the scary. I like that. Anybody else?
There's just a big difference between that front approach and that
Yes.
side approach. It's like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so big difference between the confrontational and the supportive. And I don't think we have time to say.
Quick question.
Yeah.
So I had a client who'd never met me, and I stood at her doorway, didn't hear her, she didn't come to the door. So I went downstairs to the reception to ask them to walk in with me, to let me in. And so our first greeting was her still sleeping in her bed, waking up without her hearing aids, and me standing there.
yeah.
So I'm sure that's happened before with other people, but.
Okay, we're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that. That's the next
She
piece.
doesn't have dementia, but
But-
still.
But she has hearing loss, so we're gonna get to that in a minute. We're gonna practice and we're gonna practice hand under hand, and there's a piece of that we're gonna
Thanks.
practice. Great, thank you for asking the question. Oh yes, hand under hand. Okay, here. So here. Hi. Gloria, you make a butterfly. And then I'm gonna here, and you're just gonna come right here. Like that. Like this handshake. It's kind of like this. Yeah, like this. So then I and if I'm inside here, like like Tifa talks about holding that, like look forward. That's your hand. Does that make you want to talk? Not really. Okay. Usually that works. It doesn't work there. Or do you want to put it? Yeah. And then that's right. Oh, no, you want to go like that. You want to go like that. I know, so you want to go, you want to, where do you want to, right? So you want to go over, because you want to be in control, but you also want to make them feel like they're in control. And then you just want to step out to the side. Let's do this. Oh, no, you want to go on. You want to go on. Yeah, that's right. That's right. So you want to be around. That's right. Yeah. So we're doing a butterfly, right? It just takes practice. Yeah. It just takes practice. Yeah. Oh yeah. All right. So can people tell me what was their experience with using hand under hand? I know I helped a few people. Did everybody get the hang of it? Yeah.
I like starting with just kind of basic shapes and they kind of move into the butterfly because it's too awkward and they're gonna have more, I guess when they're gonna look at you.
What is it doing?
You know, they might. Right. They might, but my experience with it has been that people actually really like it. Like they like it, and so they don't mind. And actually, I
The
remember.
hand over hand.
Yeah, the hand over hand, the whole thing. Like, because I think that it just takes practice. So you had that experience where, you know, maybe we just need practice, right? What are some other feelings? But how did it feel? How did it feel when people did the hand, like people living with dementia, people were playing that part. How did it feel when somebody did hand in her hand?
I felt very anchored, like there was support, but not, like you're not forcing someone to do something. And so, like when we had the two hands together, you know, I was guiding with the elbow a bit, but just kind of steering rather than like yanking them this way or that. Yeah.
So I don't think we have time to go through it, but I'll just tell you what, we're not going to watch it, but I can kind of tell you what she does. So she talks in this video a little bit about why that works. So it's proprioceptive. So when you go to a joint, that's proprioceptive touch. And it's very comforting and reassuring as opposed to a muscle, which can be very irritating. And your muscle can be very sensitive, right? Especially, you know, if you have a type of dementia where things are breaking down in that way, like you're saying, your client's very sensitive. You probably wouldn't want to touch her muscle area. So you want to try to touch joints. It's comfortable. I think somebody, and I'm also going to go back to a question. You had the question about you had the question about waking someone up. So that's connected to that. So someone with hearing loss who doesn't have their hearing aids in, you know, and they're sleeping, how do you approach them? So we want to think about that. So the intimate space, right, is arm's length. Where are my arms? Guess what's below my arms? My knee. So that's still personal space. It's not intimate space. Our knee is personal space. So that is a place, and if you touch on the joint, that's a reassuring place to touch. So you go over to the person and you touch them on the joint. You touch them on the joint and maybe get down low, side of the bed, but back far enough that you're still in the personal space, right? And maybe they'll wake up, and then you can talk, and then maybe you can hand them your hearing aids. But that's another way that you can approach people that you can't verbally talk to, and that obviously can't see you because they're sleeping. And I have tried that with a client, and it worked really well to touch the knee. Because I think that's a common thing, isn't it? We sometimes have to wake people up who are sleeping. So that's one way that we can do that. I also wanted to quickly, does anybody have any questions? Does anybody want to talk about the experience with, what are some of your experiences with using hand under hand and positive physical approach? Yeah.
I felt that as in the caregiver role, that it felt very secure. If they were a little unbalanced, it would be very easy to just give them that support that they needed.
Right, so it felt very supportive again, and also you could allow, maybe it would reduce fall risk, like it's safer, it's a safer thing. So is everyone encouraged to go out and give it a try? You know, try to give it a try. And maybe even we can practice a little later if people want to stay a little later. I don't know if people's time is like, I want to